The history of FPS video games, is that doable? When you think of video games, chances are an image of a soldier running with a gun pops into your head. That's the power of first-person shooter FPS games. They put you right in the action, making every moment feel personal and intense. From classics like Call of Duty to futuristic hits like Halo, FPS games have dominated the gaming world for decades. But how did they become so influential? In this video, we'll dive into the history of FPS games, exploring their rise from simple beginnings to global dominance. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and let's jump in. The origins of first-person shooters. The roots of first-person shooter FPS games trace back to the early 1970s, when developers first experimented with the idea of navigating a game world from a first-person perspective. One of the earliest known examples was Maze War, 1973, created by a group of MIT students. It featured simple wireframe mazes where players could move and shoot at opponents, marking one of the first interactive 3D experiences in gaming history. Around the same time, SPASM, 1974, a multiplayer space simulation game, introduced the idea of real-time competition in a first-person view. Throughout the late 1970s and 1980s, FPS concepts remained largely experimental due to hardware limitations. Most games focused on top-down or side-scrolling perspectives, as rendering full 3D environments was too demanding. The birth of the FPS genre. The true birth of the modern first-person shooter FPS genre began with a small but groundbreaking game from ID Software, Wolfenstein 3D, released in 1992. While earlier games had experimented with first-person perspectives, Wolfenstein 3D was the first to combine immersive environments, fast-paced action, and a clear objective: survive and eliminate your enemies. Set against the backdrop of World War II, players took on the role of BJ Blazkowicz, an American soldier attempting to escape a Nazi stronghold. The game introduced mechanics that would later define the genre, including health and ammo pickups, hidden secrets, and the feeling of being fully immersed in the game world. What set Wolfenstein 3D apart was its accessibility. Players could download and try the first few levels for free using a shareware model, which allowed the game to spread rapidly across the PC gaming community. Just a year later, ID Software returned with a game that would forever redefine gaming: Doom. Released in 1993, Doom took everything that worked in Wolfenstein 3D and amplified it. The graphics were more detailed, the levels were more complex, and the gameplay was faster and more intense. Players were armed with an arsenal of powerful weapons, including the now iconic BFG 9000, as they battled through waves of demonic enemies. Doom also introduced multiplayer support through local networks, allowing friends to face off in competitive deathmatches, a concept that laid the groundwork for modern online multiplayer gaming. The game's modding capabilities further cemented its place in gaming history, as fans were able to create their own levels and share them with others, creating one of the first vibrant gaming communities around user-generated contents. Beyond its technical achievements, Doom left a massive cultural impact, sparking debates about video game violence due to its graphic content and intense action. It also influenced countless developers, leading to a flood of games inspired by its mechanics, often referred to as Doom clones. The evolution of FPS games, from simple mazes to complex worlds. The journey of first-person shooter FPS games has transformed dramatically from simple, experimental designs to expansive, immersive experiences. In the early days, games like Maze War, 1973, and SPASM, 1974, introduced the concept of navigating a 3D environment, but they lacked depth in gameplay and interactivity. The release of Wolfenstein 3D, 1992, and Doom, 1993, changed everything, setting the foundation for fast-paced action, multiplayer combat, and immersive first-person experiences. By the late 1990s, FPS games evolved beyond simple shooting mechanics. Quake, 1996, introduced fully 3D environments, dynamic lighting, and online multiplayer, paving the way for competitive gaming. Meanwhile, GoldenEye 007, 1997, brought stealth and mission objectives to console shooters, proving FPS games could thrive beyond PCs. Then came Half-Life, 1998, which blended storytelling, AI-driven enemies, and cinematic sequences, revolutionizing single-player FPS campaigns. As technology advanced, games became larger and more complex. Halo Combat Evolved 2001 introduced large-scale battles and vehicular combat, while Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare 2007 redefined military shooters with realistic combat and cinematic storytelling. Today, FPS games feature open worlds, realistic physics, and virtual reality integration, proving the genre continues to evolve in exciting new directions. FPS games go mainstream, the modern era. By the early 2000s, first-person shooter FPS games had become a dominant force in the gaming industry. Halo Combat Evolved 2001 revolutionized console shooters with tight controls, an engaging Sky-fi story, and seamless multiplayer, solidifying the Xbox as a major gaming platform. Meanwhile, Call of Duty 2003 brought cinematic storytelling and large-scale battles, setting the stage for the franchise's massive success. The release of Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare 2007 redefined the genre with modern combat, realistic mechanics, and an addictive multiplayer experience, pushing FPS games into mainstream pop culture. Esports leagues flourished with games like Counter-Strike, Global Offensive, and Overwatch, while Battle Royale titles like PUBG and Call of Duty Warzone reshaped multiplayer experiences. Today, FPS games dominate online gaming, streaming platforms, and competitive tournaments, proving their lasting appeal and continuous innovation in the gaming industry. FPS games in pop culture and esports. First-person shooter, FPS games have had a massive impact on pop culture and esports. Titles like Call of Duty, Counter-Strike, and Overwatch have influenced movies, TV shows, and even music, shaping modern entertainment. Streaming platforms like Twitch and YouTube have propelled FPS games to new heights, with professional players and content creators gaining millions of fans. In esports, FPS tournaments attract huge audiences, with events like the Call of Duty League and CS:GO majors offering multi-million-dollar prize pools. As FPS games continue to evolve, their influence on competitive gaming and pop culture remains stronger than ever. The future of FPS games. What's next? The future of first-person shooter FPS games is set to be more immersive than ever. Virtual reality VR titles like Half-Life, Alyx are pushing boundaries, offering deeper interaction and realism. AI-driven opponents, advanced physics, and next-gen graphics will create even more lifelike experiences. Battle Royale and tactical shooters will continue evolving, while innovations in cross-platform play and cloud gaming will make FPS titles more accessible. With franchises like Call of Duty, Halo, and Battlefield constantly innovating, the FPS genre is poised to remain at the forefront of gaming, redefining how players experience action-packed virtual worlds. The lasting legacy of FPS games. From humble beginnings in the 1970s to becoming the most dominant genre in gaming, first-person shooter FPS games have revolutionized interactive entertainment. Titles like Doom, Counter-Strike, and Call of Duty have shaped not only gaming but also pop culture and esports. The genre's evolution from simple mazes to realistic cinematic experiences proves its lasting appeal. As technology advances, FPS games will continue pushing boundaries with VR, AI, and immersive storytelling. Whether for competition, storytelling, or pure adrenaline, FPS games have cemented their place in gaming history, and their influence will only grow in the years to come. Call to action. If you enjoyed this deep dive into FPS history, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more gaming content. What's your favorite FPS game of all time? Drop a comment below and let's discuss. Stay tuned for more epic gaming history and analysis. See you next time.